on to the silent crisis in our nation's maternity wards. African-American mothers dying at a higher rate than any other racial or ethnic group from childbirth-related complications. Families affected by this tragedy share their stories on the day their lives changed forever. Janae Norman has this report.
What was supposed to be the start of a new life turned out to be the end of another. 26-year-old Amber Rose Isaac was preparing to give birth at the height of the coronavirus pandemic in New York City in April when everything changed for her partner Bruce.
And I just remember staring and, looking at her face and seeing how scared she was, and panicking a bit. So I'm telling her, yeah, we're going home. This is what we prepared for. This is what we were ready for. It's time. And she looked at me and said, yes, all three of us are going home. And that was the last time I seen Amber.
Amber posted on Twitter about, quote, dealing with incompetent doctors. She died 4 days later. Bruce says Amber tried advocating for herself, but doctors just wouldn't listen.
She voiced her concerns to her OB. She was letting her know, she's not feeling right. She's feeling a lot of discomfort. She's having shortness of breath. And her OB didn't really understand. She was like, oh, well, there are other women who are working while they're pregnant. So that right there just told me she didn't really care about Amber.
In a statement, the hospital spokesperson saying 94% of our deliveries are minority mothers, and Montefiore's maternal mortality rate of 0.01% is lower than both New York City and national averages, adding any maternal death is a tragedy. Amber's story is not uncommon. July 2nd, 26-year-old Sha'Asia Washington died during an emergency C-section. And July 27th, Yolanda Kadima, a doula and mom of 7, died giving birth to twins, also during an emergency C-section. Experts like Professor Deirdre Cooper Owens, who's written about how race and gender impacted American gynecology, say the struggles these women face throughout their pregnancies and childbirth all come down to racism.
You see that class and status tend to matter. The higher up you go, right, the kind of better protected you are. That doesn't exist for Black women because we're all experiencing racism in the same way. So when I walk into the office, nobody knows if I'm married or have a PhD or what my income is. The assumption is I might be lying, maybe I'm promiscuous, maybe I don't eat well. I should still be given fair treatment and equitable treatment by my doctor.
My first pregnancy, my birthing experience was pretty traumatic.
And then he actually punctured my spinal cord. I was temporarily paralyzed.
We were so excited about bringing Jason to this world, and then the last 2 or 3 days of his birthing process was too tragic.
I was bullied and I was abused emotionally and physically, in the sense that consent was not asked for as often as it should have been.
It took me a while to find a provider that I trusted and that respected me.
We lost him due to what is known as HELP syndrome. We found out later on that his death could have been prevented, as well as the traumatic birthing experience that she experienced.
So many Black families with similar stories, and these experiences add to a mistrust between the Black community and the medical community, a relationship with a long, dark history dating back centuries.
Enslaved Black women were experimented on, particularly during the 19th century. So a little bit in the 18th century, but largely in the 19th century as obstetrics and gynecology became more formal and accepted branches of medicine. Marion Sims, known as the father of American gynecology, pioneers the surgery to correct this obstetrical fistula condition. People didn't know that he experimented on enslaved women. They didn't know that 2.5 years into his experimental trial, when his white medical assistants quit, he trained these enslaved women to serve as nurses. They were still his patients. They were still his slaves that he either owned or leased, and they still served as surgical assistants. So that part of the story was left out.
The success of James Marion Sims earned him the nickname of the father of modern gynecology. But his legacy is marred by the fact he earned it on the backs of Black slaves through non-consensual human experimentation without anesthesia. Now, doctors like Jennifer Lincoln, also an OBGYN, are fighting against present-day health disparities.
To this day, Black people are less likely to get the same treatment in terms of pain medication. They're more likely to wait longer in the emergency room. They're less likely to be taken seriously. It's a holdover from the days of slavery. And in my field, this plays a huge role in the Black maternal and morbidity crisis. The call to action: doctors, nurses, anybody in the medical field, check your implicit bias.
Staggering statistics show Black women in America die during childbirth nearly 3 times more than white women, making the United States one of the most dangerous developed countries in the world for Black women to give birth. And doctors say the issue for mothers extends through pregnancy and postpartum, and also impact Black babies, who are more than twice as likely to die than white babies.
So higher rates of complications related to childbirth and pregnancy as well. It's huge, and it's something that in a population, childbearing women in general are young, healthy women, and then these are not women who should be suffering these extreme complications or be dying, especially in a developed country.
So what do you think can be done for medical professionals already out there to address this?
I think that in reading and listening and understanding why there is fear and distrust of the medical system for certain racial groups, and it's not a personal thing, but it's a whole generational and societal thing, I still have to stop myself every time I'm caring for somebody who looks different than me, and I always check. And I say, am I delivering the same level of care here?
These important self-assessments could literally mean the difference between life and death for patients like Charles Johnson's wife, Kira. She died unexpectedly after the birth of their second son in 2016, and Charles says her death was 100% preventable.
For what was supposed to be a routine scheduled C-section at our doctor's recommendation, and on what we expected to be the happiest day of our lives, and really walked into an absolute nightmare. The thing that's so clear to me is that Kira just wasn't seen and valued as human. She wasn't seen in the same way, with the same compassion and the same empathy that the people that were responsible for her life would have seen their own daughters or their own wives or their own sisters. There's no reason that Kira should not be here today.
Charles says for him and his 2 sons, the void left by Kira's death can never be filled.
And we talk about mommy all the time. And so I made the decision very early on that I never wanted the topic of Kira to ever be taboo or to be off limits. We do our best to remain positive and to celebrate her, but my brother says it best, it's like there will always be an empty seat at the table.
But he's using tragedy as fuel to effect change, starting 4 Moms for Kira, an advocacy group aiming to change laws and prevent negligence from ripping apart any more families. As for Bruce, he's grappling with the reality of what should have been the start of his family ending tragically, and the beginning of his son living a life without his mother.
Now, all I can think about is, Elias growing up without his mother, and how he's gonna feel when he's in school and they're doing Mother's Day activities and making Mother's Day cards, and Elias is not gonna have that luxury, and it kills me. It kills me that whenever we go out to parks, we're gonna see full family playing together, and we're not gonna have that.
So I wanted to come on and add my 2 cents to a hot topic. It is my hope that Dr. Jackie has had an opportunity to reflect and revisit the statement that she made. While that may be her experience as a professional with a few, unfortunately, that statement has overshadowed a bigger issue and a very important issue, and that is that Black mothers are dying at a rate of 2 to 3 times higher than any other ethnic group. Unfortunately, the Black community, our community, has not had the best relationship with the medical industry. So this is definitely something that we need to be addressing. And the fact that it's still happening in 2023, definitely something that we need to stay focused on and give a lot of attention to. I want to hear from you guys. Please comment below and let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this, and please thumbs up if you like it. I hope you do. Hopefully I don't have no negative people putting thumbs down. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I look forward to churning out these videos like I said I would. Have a good one. Bye.
Auntie, go, go, auntie, go, auntie, go. Putting in more than the things we see. know there's two sides of everything. That's what I cut for you. Ain't no limit to what I does for ya. Generations of our culture opens up. Every day I'm growing and it's going up. AuntieTV, it's